It'll be fun.
People should be.
If other people will trickle in.
Hey, how come you didn't like my comment on Facebook?
Because I didn't know if it was an accident.
You know it was on purpose.
Did I like any of them?
I thought I was so funny, and Elise rolled her eyes at me. She's like, "Oh, that's not even funny."
I
I'm
was
like,
like, you
"It's
don't even
pretty
know how
funny."
to hang curtains.
No, I was like, maybe he's serious. I don't know, because there was no laughing behind his face.
He's, how long have you been in your townhome?
11 years.
He still doesn't have curtains.
If I do, my sister hung them for me.
This is true. This is true. Didn't she borrow your car once and go like into a field or something?
Or she claims she did. I don't know if she actually did. There's no pictures to prove it.
Or wait, no, so she not. No, she dented something. Not that we
No, she was moving my bed frame that I had sitting upstairs down to the garage, and she drug it across the side of my motorcycle.
That's right. I knew she was. She still did.
Yeah.
I didn't like any of them, Adam.
He's very sensitive.
There.
Thank you very much.
I only liked yours.
He's one
If
of
I
those.
make a comment at 9:01, I like it to be liked at 9. You know, I need that immediate
He's like.
satisfaction.
He's like.
Poor
You know, if there, I got like 4,000 Facebook friends. You know, I should have 4,000 likes.
Right? Yeah.
That's
I don't understand where the
We good?
communication is here.
All right, we're gonna start. So, okay, I'm gonna start with a story about Adam and I.
I think this is embarrassing. If I
More for
remember
you than
correctly.
me. So
This was prior to my Redux training.
it is. Look at that. Okay, so this morning I asked you guys a minute ago if you've seen the promo video of why Adam, why we selected Adam to be here. Most said no, but anyway, you get a chance to watch that. I'm gonna tell you why Adam's here. So first, I'm gonna go back 5 years ago. So Adam and I have only had one transaction ever together, and this was when he was at a prior brokerage. So back then, he is as polished as he is today. We're going back and forth with this transaction. Adam's younger, still cocky.
Overreacting, probably.
Overreacting. So he has this whiny buyer, and I have this seller.
What's my buyer mad about?
I couldn't tell you, there was a lot of it. So anyway, I sent Adam an email about 4 o'clock in the morning. It's like, I need an answer by 9 o'clock or we're pulling our deal.
I don't get out of bed until 10.
9:10 rolls around. 9:10 rolls around. I get a call from Adam, just freaking out. I just got out of bed. I can't get it done in time. And that's the point of that, is he wasn't out of bed yet.
That was early.
So that was early, and he's just throwing a fit because he feels like he's being pushed around, and it ended well for us. But anyway, so I tell that because Adam then shortly, about a year later, 6 months later, joined Concepts.
And the first time I saw him at Concepts after that was at the Ankeny open house when we just opened up Ankeny.
Yes.
And I remember looking at you and immediately feeling a little sense of shame.
So anyway, he comes here, he meets with us, starts plugging in, doing everything we talk about, and gets priorities right, and continues to figure out how to adapt and grow his business. And he excelled at that over those first few years. Then the opportunity arose to work with a builder. And he dove in head first. It was a sponge of knowledge, up late night, weekends, didn't matter, did whatever it took to take that builder to the level, which is, last year, biggest year ever.
Oh yeah.
Biggest year ever. Doing great this year. So he's here because he's crafted in what's worked from him for converting buyers, which led him into a lot of custom builds and representing buyers in those, and just buyers in general. So which is how he ended up with growing and hiring Elise. So he's here because he was here on a whole nother level, and now he's here.
Now, I did hire at least 1 because she's good at what she does, but 2 also because I can't have friends unless I pay them. That's just how it works with me.
Right. So when going through training this year, thinking who would be great to bring in and help teach these classes, that is where his name came in. So you're going to find a lot of today is going to be a lot of him talking and me just agreeing, because it's worked for them in a very short period of time, and it can work for anyone. So we shall start.
And I absolutely have zero plans for this, so I would encourage questions and engagement.
Yes, always engagement. So there's going to be a lot of, like usual, we'll hit on some subjects. We're not going to dwell on a lot of them. A lot of them you're going to take and do on your own time. Scripts, we're not going to go through scripts. We're not going to role play any of that stuff. You can do that on your own time. And then we'll just talk about experiences and just key phrases that work. So, as always, it's really about the numbers. So you really have to work backwards from your goals to figure out how many deals you have to have per year, which translates to how many how many buyers to how many closings to how many contacts you have to have. That's all agent specific, so you have to work backwards. This is just an example of what it could be.
With that sheet too, one of the things that I've always told people is real estate is ABC. It's literally this easy. You have to have the right personality, you have to have the knowledge, all that stuff. You have to get it. But it's literally ABC. Figure out what your goal is. That's A. Figure out how many people you have to talk to reach your goal. That's B. And if you do A and B, C will happen. It's literally that easy. So if I can meet 10 people, 10 new people, whether it's through Facebook, in person, at a meeting, regardless of how I meet them, if I can meet 10 new people and put my name in their hand and get one sale out of that, I know that that's my ratio. I know it's 10 to 1. So if my goal is 60 sales next year, I take that number, I divide it by 12, I multiply it by 10. That's the right math. And then that's how I figure out how many people I have to talk to. And if I do that, if I constantly do that, I will meet my goal. It's as easy as that. Most realtors that I see that don't hit their goals, it's because they're not taking that one small step to do it.
So one thing you just said there is a common thing that what I repeat a lot is it said it's that easy. I always say real estate is very simplistic. Do the little things that have the big results. Same concept. So this sheet that we have here, you guys have on the right, you guys know all this, but we're not going to touch a lot on this. On the right, the things you should have when you're going out and meeting with buyers. We're going to go through a lot of these criteria sheet. You know, setting the expectation between the buyers and yourself as far as what goals are. We'll touch on the exclusive agency agreement compared to appointed agency, and our take on that, my take on that, and then other tools there. So 7 buyer responsibilities. So this is what you should be doing, whether you're an individual or a team. You know, you got to bring them in first, whether it's networking, Facebook, church, different events. Sarah, you look like you want to say something. No? Okay. Okay.
Well, there's a couple of steps in this that when I looked this over was something that really stuck out to me. One of them is administration preparation. I don't do that at all. I've never been very good at that. I'm very poor at that. Buyers like something when you're showing houses. You're going to have 1 or 2 different types of buyers, or maybe more, but there's the type that likes paper in their hand when they're walking around looking at the houses, and then there's, you know, Generation X or millennials that might like it more on their iPad or their iPhone. So whether or not you're putting this preparation into your showings and getting all of their listing docs, or excuse me, showing docs, and sending them to them in email so they can take notes on them, doing it in RPR or painted it in paper needs to be tailored towards that individual client that you're working with. And then the other 2 things here that I want to touch base on is, one thing is post-closing activities. Another thing that early in my real estate game I was pretty poor at. Tim Moline, one of my first years of real estate, told me that there were taxi cab drivers and there were limousine drivers. This is what he said. A taxi cab driver picks you up, drops you off at your destination, and you never ever see him again. But a limousine driver gives you a little bit better feel, and you might actually develop that relationship with them, which turns into referrals, retaining these clients, things like this. So when you close the sale, keep in touch with these people. One day, 3 days after, give them a phone call. How's everything? How's the house? Did you get moved in? I'm real excited. Did that couch fit where you thought it was going to go? 7 days later, send them an email. Hey, just checking in again. Want to see how things are going with you. Elise every Thursday pulls up my Facebook and goes through all of my birthdays and grabs information of who to send a birthday card to, and then sends birthday cards to everybody. Jen Stanbro to this day sends me a Christmas card because I bought a house from her 11 years ago, you know? It's these small touches. In my early life, I was engaged and I bought a car from a guy named George Meza at Lydia. And the car was actually for my fiance at the time. And I drove this little black Jet GLI, and she bought this little white Golf GTI. They were similar cars. He took a card and hand cut out the silhouette of the two cards and mailed it to us as an engagement gift. I bought like 5 cards from that man so far. You know, I never forgot that little special touch that did. Sorry.
No, you're fine. So anyone who was here for what he just said about Jen, that goes back to, if you refer back to what she said, and having those systems in place, depending on what system to use, is important to be able to do those things. Any questions so far?
Side note, not engaged anymore, so friends and family might have some single, just give my phone, sorry.
Adam, I have a question about your birthday thing.
6 foot with my shoes on.
Obviously, we all have Facebook with Facebook birthdays and whatever, but how did you grab all their physical addresses?
We hunt. I will go to the assessor. I'll send them a message and say, hey, is there anything wrong with sending somebody a message and saying, hey, I want to send you a birthday card. Can I have your address? You know, it doesn't take any meeting away from it.
Okay.
And just hopefully I've written them down sometimes sooner or later.
So to that, he's right. He does it weekly. We do it monthly. She does have to scour and she can't find it. Maybe don't send it to them. Maybe ask a spouse or something. I will tell you, and this is a tip I just did recently, is mix it up every year. We've used the same one for about 3 years. And within my daughter's friends' parents, it became kind of a joke. Hey, is it different from this year? And they open it, it's the same thing. So we're gonna trip her next year. So yeah. So anyway, but yeah, you gotta hunt for stuff like that. Once you have it, you have it. Okay. Any questions on this? Okay, 39 vital buyer activities. This is one of those things we are touching on, but we will not go through every single one of them. They are in your packets. Maybe. There we go. 5 stages of working with a buyer. We'll touch on these a little bit more detail compared to the vital list. Okay. Meeting in the office. This is where, to me, this is a safety thing. So if at all possible, always meet in the office first, or if you can't, Panera, Starbucks, wherever, somewhere public, to go through the initial buyer consultation.
Do you guys see what the difference is between these 2 slides here? There's a big difference between these 2. This is an order taker. This is a ticket taker. This is a person who stands in front of the movie and says, thank you for wanting to buy this movie. Now you can go in, right? Then you get the call, hey, I want to go see this house. Okay, here I go. Don't just go show them the house. Put them in the process, you know? Put them in your database, get their information, actually put them in the process. If you might close 1 out of 10 people if you're doing something like this, where maybe you're doing 7 out of 10 or 5 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 doing something like the bottom.
One at the bottom is important, and why his ratios are probably pretty accurate, 1 out of 10 or 7 out of 10, because with internet, they can get anything they want online. They don't, unless we have some other value to bring them about the process, about the stresses, about the expectations, they can Google the rest and find it. So to continue to stay relevant, you have to bring something that they can't find online.
Immediately bring value.
Right, exactly. Otherwise, they're going to Google it. So whoever brings value first, that gets them that, aha, I didn't know that, that's who they're going to work with. Ask him for the meeting. You will not convert 100% of what you don't generate. So when you're talking to them, make sure you're asking for that meeting, for that sit down, to be able to get in front of them, to go through your presentation, and show them your value.
Do you guys have a list of questions that you guys ask when a stranger calls to try to get to that value that you're offering, or is it just, is there any 3 key questions that you always ask, or is there?
I do, they're in my head,
Right.
but I should really write them down. I know Shane has lists of everything, and I stole a bunch of your lists once. So are you talking like a call from just a cold lead,
Yeah,
just came in?
Cold lead.
Well, absolutely. The first thing that I try to do is I try to understand what they want, right? So something along the lines of, sure, how can I help you with that? Give me a little bit more understanding of your situation. I let them talk, and I try to squeeze a joke in there or something like that and set a happy tone. And then obviously there's two solid questions that I always follow up with. And I say, can I ask you some questions? And I found that when I just ask these questions, they're a little bit more closed off. But when I start that with, can I ask you a couple of questions? They're much more open. The first one is, are you working with another realtor? And then I tell them, I say, listen, the reason that I ask that question is because if you're working with another realtor, I don't want to give the wrong impression to that other realtor, right? I'm doing this from a friendly.
And to that real quick, I want to touch on that. So, and that's an excellent answer. So just the other day, from someone else, not naming names, a lead had come in, and the question was asked, are you working with another realtor? And the client said, I've talked to someone, but no, not really. Well, he replied, well, I wanted to double check and make sure I'm not working with anyone because I don't want to waste my time. Then he replies back and he's like, did I say something wrong? Well, you said something wrong. Yeah. Like, why didn't you say you didn't want to step on any toes and if they're working with someone already? We're like, you're right. I should have said that. So it's in how you word it.
It's always not what you say, but how you say it.
It's don't offend them. I mean, even if they, send them back to the other agent.
Because I know a lot of people will go in the qualifications, like,
Yes.
are you pre-approved? And sometimes that can be turned off. Is there any way you might ask that question, you spin it?
Absolutely. If I was asking you and I had never met you before, you weren't a realtor, you've never bought a house before, and I say, are you pre-approved? What did you hear? Literally, somebody
Do you have money?
Do you have money?
Right.
That's right. And it's insulting.
Yeah.
And I say, great. I tell them, thanks for the answer. I'm realtor. And I say, okay, here's the second question. I say, I say, have you talked to any lenders? Are you working with any lenders yet? Let me tell you the reason that I'm asking that question. This is a fast-paced moving market right now. We go out, we look at houses, you find the house, and you say, boy, I love this house, Adam. I really want to buy this house. And I haven't done my job. I haven't asked you if you were pre-approved yet. And I now ask you, and it takes us 2 or 3 days to get that pre-approval. Meanwhile, somebody else comes in and buys the house that you wanted because I did a poor job of being your realtor. I've turned it around. I put it on myself. I'm building value at the same time.
I like it.
So to that, I'm gonna add to that on how to do it so that they're not mad at you, because they can still get mad if you say it that way. So we're gonna go back to this. We're gonna go back to the safety thing. Okay, so there's a form in our dot loop that's a safety pledge that sellers can sign, saying that before someone comes in their house, we have to verify that they're an identified buyer. So if a buyer calls in and you say, you ask the same question, can I ask if you talked to a lender who's been pre-approved? The reason I ask that is because these sellers require it. Either A, you have to be pre-approved, or B, I need a copy of your driver's license for safety reasons. So at that point, you're putting it on that listing. That seller chose to do that for safety, so they're not mad at you. So 99% of the time, they're gonna be like, that makes total sense. And because if they say, well, I still don't understand, I refer to things that have happened. We've had some tragedies in the real estate industry. People have been, shot, and we don't want to take any risks. It makes sense, and they never had an issue if you do that.
And with both of these questions, no matter how good you do it, you'll get pushback sometimes. And at that point, you have to learn to decipher whether or not it's pushback because they're not a serious buyer,
Right.
or it's pushback because you haven't overcome an objection.
Right, and if they do push back in that case, and like the one I was referring to, and they say, well, that's fine, I'll go with someone else. And I understand you're frustrated, Mr. Buyer, but this is the seller's qualification. It doesn't matter who you go to, this is gonna have to happen. So again, they're not mad at you, they're mad at that scenario which you can't control.
Now, I know I've had some luck with spinning it in a way that's like, are you working with someone who's really helping you with your, are giving you that next level, to use that word, next level service with in regards to your financing?
Absolutely.
So I'm asking them, is someone taking care of you?
Which is great, because
Coming from a point of like, I'm concerned as if someone's actually
right.
giving you the service you deserve. versus, already pre-approved or, so a lot of times they'll say, well, I feel like we're working with someone who's doing a good job. At least you got the question you were asking, is that they have it in the lender.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so, which is a great point because, I just lost my thought.
I got one for you.
Go ahead, wife.
And a great way to start this off on the right foot is the immediate phone call. And I am bad at this, right? So if you get a lead come in from Lead Street or from Zillow or something like this, I will tell you, I can notice a giant difference when I call that person within that split second. They pick up the phone, they're surprised. They're like, oh my God, this guy's already calling me back. Holy cow. You're building value. And when you're talking to clients that you've worked with or people that have called, one thing I overly hear is I couldn't get that realtor to call me back. The whole industry's bad at it. If you show them that you're good at it, you're starting it on the right foot, and that's gonna help.
Most time all you have to do is enter the phone. So I remember now. So who's had, could you show me the house because my agent's out of town? Right? That goes back to what Matt said. Who's providing you value? If you answer that question up front, and they're like, oh yeah, my agent's out of town, so I need you to show me. They're not providing value. If they can't make a call and say, hey, coworker, co-agent, whatever, can you cover for me? It's such, don't be greedy.
And if it is your listing,
yeah, give them a little fee.
it's your own business model, what you want to do. I know me personally, it's my listing, I'm opening up the
He's still
house.
showing the house.
I'll open it up and let, I don't want to talk to them too much.
Yeah.
Let them see.
Let them in.
It's not my listing, and obviously you don't want to waste your time
Right.
with that.
Right. Any questions? Okay. Justifying the meeting, so we kind of talked about all that already. Just laying out the expectations and getting them to trust you, building the rapport. Again, answering the phone quick. You get an email lead, call them back. You're like, whoa, I just sent that email. I've said that's how I roll. That's how I operate. That's whatever.
With building rapport, I went to a sales training, must have been about 15 years ago. Can't remember what company it was for. I got fired
15.
Yeah, right about 15. I like that answer. It must have been about 8 years ago. But I can't remember what company this was for. It was for one or two. But we were talking about rapport and how to build it. And the guy told me, look around the room. Is there a deer head hanging on his wall? Is he wearing a special kind of shirt? Does he have a special kind of car? Identify different objects in the room, or if you're in your office that they might be wearing, or a purse or something like that they bring in. Ask them about it. Talk to them. People love to talk. Look at me. Here I am just babbling up here. People love to talk. And the more you can get them to talk, the more comfortable they're going to feel. And they're going to be more comfortable talking about something that they enjoy.
Also, address them by their name. Like they say, my name is Adam. Great, Adam. Tell me what I can help you with. Always say, okay, Adam, what are you thinking? Just keep repeating their name.
Yeah, there is something about people liking to hear their name.
Mm-hmm. When Shane said mine, I got a little butterfly.
Yeah, so it is a thing. So always, you want it to be a win-win for everyone. You want them to know that you're in it for them. You're not in you. You want to make sure you do what's best for them. You're not going to push something on them because it's about the money. And then set out your agenda. Also mention to them, go over confidentiality. What you talk about is strictly confidential between you and them unless they want you to say otherwise. So you're not going to divulge it into the seller or the other agent. And this is where it gets very, and we'll get into it in a little bit, but as far as negotiations go, if you find you get into some negotiations with more experienced agents, they'll say key things to get you to slip up and say confidential things if you've ever noticed that. So be careful what you're saying to people, because you may think it's nothing, but they're messing with your head. Anything?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, it's behind you too.
I can see it. So I'll just do a class like this.
Complete buyer sheet. So this is just go through, ask what they're looking for. This will help narrow it down.
I love this sheet when I came through. I don't have this, right? This is something that we always just kind of sit down, talk with them, and take notes. But this is information. Sometimes you don't know you want it until you see it, and so that might be helpful. And the other thing that I love to do when I'm talking about this stuff up here is what is changeable. I still to this day, it just blows my mind how many people are out there hunting for a 1,400 square foot ranch that has a privacy fence. You can build a privacy fence on almost any house, really. I mean, so, and this is something that even with a client that Elisa and I are closing next week, they have a Great Dane, and the one thing that they really, really wanted was a fence. So I did have to check covenants and stuff like that and make sure that you could get a fence. But the husband got it. He looked at any house, he didn't care whether it had a fence. The wife continuously would walk into the houses and go, well, this one doesn't have a fence. And it was really working. The house we ended up selling them did not have a fence and was put in through the closing process. So remind them what you can change.
Yeah, to that, a good key phrase is, that I've trained on a lot is if you can find a house that's 85, 90% of what you want, and you can change the other, then that's a house that's workable for you. You know, just a little remodeling and paint, whatever. Sometimes it's paint, it's another color. Carry painting.
I used to, I haven't done this forever, but I used to tell my clients, write down a list of the 10 most important things in your house, and then pick out the 7 that you really think are very important. And let's look for
So I
that.
thought about this, what a good form if you had this, if you're trying to convert someone you don't know as an email leader or something, and you try to get in contact with them, maybe they didn't respond right away, send them this and say, hey, you know what, I want you to star the things that are must-haves in your house, and maybe check mark maybe a few wish lists that you wish. Let's put a star next to things you absolutely must have. Maybe you could get a response better that way with a list of things.
Right.
But I do believe sometimes buyers don't know what they want
That's true.
until they see it. You know?
A good thing with a list like this is if you get them in the office, all conference rooms have big screens. Pull the MLS, take this sheet, pull the MLS up in front of them, and just kind of narrow it down from there, area, type of house, and just show them, hey, you know, you got 20 houses in that area, and narrow it down from there.
A good way to do this might be to have 2 columns or 2 spots, right? And the top one is items I need in my house, you know, call it whatever you want. Number of bedrooms, basement, things like this. The bottom one is amenities I desire, right? Fences, things like that, changeable stuff. So then when you're going over this with the buyer, you're like, okay, here's our focus points, and we're hoping to find these, and we're also going to look for these very hard, but we understand these are changeable, you know?
Yeah, so something like this would be good to have in your buyer's packet for your consultation. And I know as you look around, you've got some stuff that Adam uses that we use. You know, take it, make it your own. And if you don't have one, you know, just take and put your buyer's packet together.
And if there's, like for the buyer's timeline and stuff like that, I have that in non-PDF format so that you can edit it, change it, put your logo on it. Just send Elise a message, ask her for it, and we'll send it right over to you.
Yep.
Yeah.
If it's something you think of it, we can also give it to Becca, we can put it in
Put it in the Google Drive. So what I'm referring to for ours has been in the Google Drive for years. And it's in an editable format. So we went over wants, concentrate on required limit. Okay, so you know, we looked just a minute ago. I said use the example. You know, maybe 20 houses pull up. You know, dig a little deeper. Try to narrow it down to the 10, and then from there, you know, tell them to do drive-bys if they have some free time. And then from there, you probably narrow it down to 5. And then showing 5 is a lot easier than showing 20.
Pay attention to the map views when you're picking houses to show, because how many times I have pulled up to a house and realized it was right next to a gas station or on a corner that they wouldn't like or something like that, and just wasted all of our time.
So 2 things there is looking at the map views, say, you know, they want to be on the golf course. They get there, well, it's not by this, it's not by the hole, it's over here. So they don't even go into the house. Well, then the sellers are all kicked off because they spent all that time and they showed up and said, well, we didn't look at it because it wasn't over on Hole Mountain. Well, they should have known that to go before they went there, before they wasted everyone's time. So again, process of elimination. It's going to save you guys a lot more time, you know, less time away from your families and more conversions throughout the process. Tasha.
If they have a really large list, I ask them to drive by the property.
Yes. Yep.
It's a good idea.
And I swing it like you want to see how far it is from your daycare or your work. So swing by on your way home from work. And I mean, half of them end up getting eliminated because of location or distance.
Right. So, and then also, you know, tell them ahead of time. If we get there and we walk in the house and we know because of the first floor, the kitchen's just not going to work for you, let's not waste time looking at the rest of the house, let's leave. One thing that I suggest, and this will go a long way with them and with your fellow agents, they show up like, you know what, I don't even like front porch, I'm not going in. At least still open the box and, let the agent know you were there.
I always tell people in
It's a
that
respect
situation,
thing.
I tell them we can learn something from every home we go into. Maybe we'll learn some things that we do or don't desire. This
Right.
house might have positive characteristics that we didn't even know we wanted. It'll take us 5 minutes to go inside. Let's just do a quick walkthrough.
Yeah. And that's more respect your agent. You wouldn't want that done to you, which I'm sure you all have. Let's not do it to them.
On a quick side note, how many houses do you guys show at a time usually? Do you have a
I
sweet
try
spot?
not to show any more than 7 in one. I try. If they're out of town,
Mhm.
and they're like, I gotta buy a house.
Sometimes
I'm here
you gotta
Saturday
break
and
that
Sunday, and I
rule.
wanna buy a house before I leave. I make clear my entire weekend to show them, 40
Whatever.
homes over the weekend, and if you have to, because they're gonna buy one.
And that comes to the point, you might already have a plan. Some people are, obviously business is different for everybody. I'm a believer in, don't cancel all your family plans, your kid's birthday and stuff to go. So, ask someone else to help do showings and help and then take some of that pressure off you over the weekend. Because you don't want your spouse, you're never mad at because you're not at whatever.
Most of our spouses, speaking for myself, don't mind us.
Show.
I can honestly tell you,
Maybe I should like you.
anybody, well, yeah, I know, you're right, Rachel. She's like, yes,
Yeah.
why are you here? But in most cases, a lot of them will say, yeah, I don't mind, but at the end of the day, they do mind.
What I found is
Adam's single, so it doesn't affect him.
Roman misses me sometimes. What I have found is usually once I start hitting 5, 6, 7, 5's kind of my sweet spot that I like. I notice they are paying less attention. All of the information starts getting
Sensory
jumbled
overload.
up. Yeah, it's overload.
I think of it as, those auto requests for feedback through showing time or whatever. If I can't remember what to say on those, then
How does the buyer remember?
how does the buyer remember?
That's a
And then
very
you
good
just
point.
wasted all of that time for nothing, going through those homes again.
I try to max it, and again, unless they're out of town, I try to max it at no more than 5 to 6 houses at a time. So they're not.
After that first showing that you take them out, how can you show that buyer value? And this ties in perfect with what you said. Is you can be a good agent and take good notes on the houses as you're walking through them, and then send them the notes and email, hey, I just wanted to recap this for you. So you have this.
RTR does that.
I play a little game.
The RTR app.
A trainer taught me this years ago, and it was kind of, she had never some real estate, and she was a trainer. But I did pick this up from her, and I've used it, and I know I've shared it before, so if you've heard it before, I apologize. But after I show them the first few homes, I go over how it is the process of elimination. And that is, if it's a husband and wife, it's a single person, I try to get them to rate a home on a scale of 1 to 10. I set the bar at 10, meaning stop the tour, it's got everything in order, we're buying it full price right here, right now at the house. And 1 meaning you wouldn't live here if I was to pay cash for it and let you live here for free. Okay? That's a little joke, right? Go in there. I say, we're probably not gonna find a 10. Okay, 10's over our price range. And I don't care what price range you're in, whether you're 150 now and you're a $500,000 buyer, your 10's always more than what you want to pay, because that's just who we are as people. We always want more. I said, so what we're going to try to do is try to find something an 8 or higher. You have an 8, your wife has an 8, 6 for a combined score, 16 or more. And if you rate something an 8 or higher, that's your cue that this is a place you should go and offer on it. So number 1, it's real easy to take notes, because all you got to do is put a number if they rated on it. Right? They rated a 7, 7.5. Maybe there's a fence or something you can do that would make it. You can ask those questions. What would it take? Why is it 7.5? What would it be if it was if it had a fence? It'd be an 8.5. Okay, now we're on to something we can make a fence happen. But what happens is that you've already set the precedent with them on when they rate a home an 8 or higher that they're going to buy it. So you don't have to tell them to write an offer. So what happens? You'll see 7 or 8, 9 homes, and then the wife will go, "Oh my God, this is a 9. This is a 9. Look at this kitchen, And I was being like, yeah, I'm an 8.5
I'm
at
completely
least.
stealing this.
Yeah,
I mean,
so she's like, I'm an 8.5 at least. Did you see the yard and its fence and the garage? I mean, I didn't think we'd get that nice of a garage. And they've already told themselves they're buying it. You don't have to say. They'll turn you, go, now what do we do? Now we need to write an offer. It's that simple. And it's really easy to keep notes, because all you gotta do is put a number next to it. end up showing 15 houses or more, and none of them are 8 or 9, 10, we gotta have a talk. Because either one, we gotta have come around to what's realistic in your price range, or two, we need to go up in price, if we can, to try to find those last few items. Or you revisit everything they rated a 7 or higher and think, what could we do to these homes to make them an 8 for you, if there is, sometimes it's like, well, no, I can't get rid of the meth house next door, so this is not becoming an 8 for me anyway, or you're not gonna, jack it up and put a basement under it, so it's not gonna be an 8. But those are things that you can do to help get them to make a decision, and it's kind of fun too. It's kind of fun too.
Yeah, that works really well. So it's no secret now the way that we're structured. I don't do a lot work with a lot of buyers, but about 5 weeks ago, this buyer called Friday night, 7:30. Adam, wait, I need to see houses. I have to buy this weekend. I'm like, I don't want to do it. Where's everyone at? No one can do it. I'm like, fine. It's like 2 minutes from my house, so I go there.
It's next door listing.
Yeah. I go there, and so I go through the first talk about them. I said, at this point, I don't know if these guys are serious or not. And so we go through everything. We get through it, and they seem serious. So next day, I'm at an event. We were doing the SIDS walk in Ankeny. And they call us, we need to get back into this house, we want to see this one. Again, where's everyone at? Everyone's there at the SIDS walk. I'm like, I've got nobody. So I literally, wife and kids stayed in town. I rode back to Polk City and made one of the other agents sit in the backseat of their own car like this, grunt, so I could get back to show them. I go through everything like Matt said, we try to eliminate, they're standing there, and they're like, so now what? What do you want to do? I'm like, well, you guys talk about it, get back to me. They're like, do we have to talk about it, or can we just offer right now? I'm like, sure, let's go. And so by doing what Matt said, they were able to narrow that down just by looking at 2 houses. And I had them drive by the other one because I wasn't around and I needed time to get there. So if you do lay out the expectations and process of elimination, it does work. And then they'll tell you what they want to do.
And with what both of they said, how many people have the ability, and I know Dotloop makes it a little bit easier, but even the Dotloop mobile app, in my opinion, is kind of a pain in the butt to use. But how many people have tangible paper or something ready so that if somebody says, I want to write an offer, I can't tell you how many years I drove around showing houses with no ability to write an offer if I needed to,
Right.
Dotloop's a good resource for that. Having a contract printed somewhere with you is a good use for that. But if you have the contract printed, now what are you missing?
Seller's disclosure.
Seller's disclosure, right?
Pre-approval.
But so there's, in my opinion, a couple different ways you can handle that. Write the offer, show them the seller's disclosure and say, hey, I will send this to you as soon as I get back, but you've already committed them to writing the offer, right? And so that's a good step. The second solution to that would be one of my favorite new tools in real estate is the iPad Pro with the pencil. If you store PDF in it, you can literally now open it up like a piece of paper, write it, and save it like a piece of paper. It works just the same as paper.
So Adam's an Apple guy. I'm Apple illiterate. I'm a Google guy. So same concept, but anyone who has ever trained with
worse
me,
product.
This is what we carry, Chromebook. So this is our paper.
But that is
Before I walk into a house, I turn the hotspot on my phone. So all I have to do is open this up and it's right there, and I can write right there with it. So I don't even know what paper is.
There you go.
Some people that actually sell older homes might need a lead-based paint, but these guys, they don't touch it.
Lead-based what?
These guys don't touch those
She thought
guys.
you were serious. She's like, if they're in here, great.
Seller disclosures, at what point are you taking, printing out seller disclosures prior to going out, looking at homes?
No, it's only if they're interested in it. Like I said, we'll
Yeah,
carry this around.
they're
We'll pull it
attached
up.
on the MLS.
Yeah, we'll pull it up right then.
Let me ask you this, if you had to write an offer and there was no seller's disclosure, because if you ever miss a signature or initial on your seller's disclosure, turning your listing, they won't upload it to MLS until, so let's say they're missing. What would you guys do if they wanted to write an offer? I know, I'm one of the newer agents.
Write the offer.
Write the offer. Can you have a valid offer without a signed seller's disclosure?
I would call the agent, yeah.
Well, let's just say they're unavoidable, but man, these people are gonna write an offer, man. They're gonna write an offer right here at this table.
I would write it, but I would then say I'm probably gonna save it to get a hold of the seller disclosure.
Okay, can I give you an idea? under other provisions, right,
You get insurance.
offer,
Oh, yes, I did too.
offer is subject
Dark you do.
to.
I do this.
Hold on now. Offer is subject to receiving,
Yeah.
reviewing, and accepting seller's disclosure within 72 hours of seller acceptance, okay? Go ahead and write the offer, put the contingency in there,
Right.
get it accepted. Let's hope there's nothing on there that says, oh boy. And if there is, then you've covered it, okay? Don't do not write the offer. Write the offer.
And real quick to touch base on the seller's disclosure, whenever I show houses, I use Matrix to set up all those showings. I put I do after I put the showings in showing time, or excuse me, before I put the showings in showing time, I put them in the client's cart. And then whether I have my iPad, my phone, whatever, I can go to Matrix online and click my client's cart, and I have all of those listings where I can easily click and get that information. And if you do or don't know, if you don't know how to do that, I believe when the Realtor Knowledge page first started, I did a video that showed you how to do that, and it'd be in the videos on that page.
Yeah, so side note, Adam is our matrix guru. So you ever have any matrix issues that don't work, call him.
Nice.
24/7. So, okay, so we're gonna move on. So this here is agent specific, so you have to determine what is that number for you. And again, that reverts back to the numbers we were talking earlier. Checking out the financial availability. Again, there's some things with this. Be careful when asking finance questions, because you don't want to say something wrong about it. Someone's like, well, what's my interest rate going to be? What's my payment going to be?
Oh,
You
well,
don't
also
know.
from an agency standpoint.
That's what I'm saying. You don't know that, so don't say that.
Yeah.
Say this is what this would be, but you need to check with your lender.
Once you give specific assistance to somebody, and that's a very line,
Right.
that person on the phone may all of a sudden think, well, Adam's my guy now. Adam's my agent. And Adam might think, well, this is just a phone call. So now all of a sudden they start sharing personal information. You got to be careful.
Yeah, and it's not our job to determine, you can ask them a few questions, but it's not our job to determine their ability to pay. So prime example, know of a client who first time showed up to a house, car full of cans, boxes, all sweats, been a client for 6 years, pays all cash all the time. You never know, so don't ever judge.
Sorry. I was somewhere else.
Cameron's not his head because he knows what I'm talking about.
This just popped up in my head, and when you talk about the ability to buy and pay and finance and things like that, one of the sheets that I used to build value is what I call a mortgage quick view. I went to buy a car once, and the only thing I wanted to know was, look, if I buy a $30,000 car, generally what's the cost of that $30,000 car, and then how much does it swing for every $5,000 that I spend on a car? This will help me make a decision. Buyers don't know this when it comes to houses. The first rule of thumb I always tell them is, I can't even remember what the number is, $10,000 equals $50. Is that right? Yeah. So, but I have a mortgage quick view sheet. And again, I'd be happy to share this with anybody. And it auto calculates the information on the bottom. It's got a little star with a disclaimer. This information is, believed to be accurate, but, just an estimate, blah, 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 blah. But I will write in there 200,000, 220,000, 240,000, 260,000. And it will show them estimate taxes, and then it will give them their estimated payment on the right-hand side. So they can see, look, this is about where I'm at.
Yeah, that's actually genius for us. First time I've heard of someone doing that. Because how many times have you said, well, I can't do that because it's only 10,000 more? They really looked at it as $50 more a month that they can have their dream home. Don't do it.
Be careful.
Again, that's what the disclaimer is important.
The disclaimer is important, but also taxes for a higher home would up that payment a little bit. And then
Well, that's your
insurance,
part of your disclaimer.
insurance to insure homes that little bit more, but it's about $4 per thousand right
Yeah.
now that you
'Cause,
spend
yeah.
or don't spend. And for whatever reason, 6% interest rate, which I hope we don't get to, but someday probably will.
Soon.
It's exactly $6 per thousand. What's a 6% interest rate? So
roles expectations. We've been talking about this a lot. This is just laying out what you expect out of them. This is where you can go into talking about how you get paid, loyalty. You work for them, but you expect them to be loyal in return. And so this is where we get into we start getting into agency type agreements, so appointed and exclusive.
Do you want to touch on that, like we talked about?
Yep, so we have appointed agency and we have exclusive agency. Now, I'm a little bit different than most will tell you. When you talk to most other people, including my partners, they will in a lot of cases, they'll say use exclusive.
Does everyone understand what the difference between these two items are?
Everybody? Okay.
Well, review.
Okay, so
but
exclusive-
I know that your question-
So appointed means that they'll fill it out and
I think it's when you sign the agreement.
sign the
Essentially is what it
agreement.
boils
Yeah,
down to.
so that's when you sign the
So-
agreement. You're representing them on that transaction.
What he's getting at is when you meet your buyer and before you even show them any houses, do you sign an agency agreement with them? Or is that something that you do way down the road when you write the offer?
So there are a lot who do try to get it right then. My take and belief has always been, if we're providing the value, we don't need it.
And people will argue that to the bone.
Right.
Smart people who are very good in this industry. I stand on the same page as him. I build my own value, and I've never once had one of my clients go right to
If
somebody
you
else.
get halfway through it and you're feeling uneasy about something, I can tell you it's been done twice in 8 years, but you're feeling uneasy about something, then have them do it. But up front, it tends to turn people away. And again, I am contrary, well, Adam's with me, but I am contrary to most, and they say get it up front.
I have my own opinion on that.
Like I said, my partners included.
I side with these guys in saying that I think if you build value that you don't need the exclusive, okay? But here's the thing, there are gonna be times if you're doing everything that we're telling you to do with your networking and your sphere, that you're gonna have more buyers than you have hours in the day. And at that time, I pull out. I've been in that situation where I employ it. Now, I don't know what you guys feel about employing it sometimes and not employing it other times, but when I'm being pulled at the seams and I literally have no more time left in my week, in my weekends, I want commitments. Because I got more people that are willing to be committed to me. I'm not gonna waste my time with you and shoving them off or giving them to the overflow people if you're not committed to me. So I did pull this out one time and a guy had another agent that was showing him houses and it was a referral. And I ended up selling him a house because one of the houses I showed him that first appointment, he ended up buying. But it was there as we were having breakfast. I said, listen, I don't need you to sign this. If you don't want to sign this, just recognize that I won't, this was the last day I'm showing you houses.
So
I was that firm with them up there because I was being pulled at the seams and I knew there were other people waiting for my time that were going to be loyal.
So two things on that, and then with Adam. So, one, again, if you do decide to use it, we can, and they go to someone else. From a brokerage standpoint, we can go after it if it's an appointed. I'm sorry, exclusive.
Exclusive.
If it's appointed, it's honestly really worth the paper it's on. And there's not a whole lot we can do about it.
Well, and you don't really get assigned an appointed until you're signing an agent. And remember, the buyer's appointed agency is not a contract, it is a disclosure.
So
there's no contract there at all anyway. It's disclosing who's representing who in different scenarios. It's not a contract.
So second to
Exclusive
that, if you do exclusive, and I don't think it's been added yet, ours doesn't have an expiration date on it. One of the questions when the 2 times
Forever.
is it basically said forever, and the guy's like, no, I'm not gonna do that because say I stop now and I wanna buy one 2 years from now, I don't wanna say that I have to use you. Well, that's fine, let's throw an end date on there.
I
So,
thought they did have an expiration.
in my, I don't ever use it, so I don't know.
Yeah, no, it has an expiration.
You know, CenturyLink has internet for
So-
life. We have agent for life.
Well, they-
So to what Matt said, like I said, I'm an exception to the rule. 3, him, and Ooh and Lance are all on the same page. That's the way that they suggest it.
And I normally don't. I just, when
Yes,
when I have to pick and choose clients, I want the ones that will be loyal to me. And I pitch it that way. It's like, listen, I'm giving up my weekends, my time. I just want to make sure that you're as loyal to me. So I'm going to be.
It happens to everybody. So if someone on the team comes to me and says, "Hey, I lost this. What can we do?" Well, what did you do? What could you have done not to look at it? So it's all learning experience. Look, Tasha.
Couple things. How would you introduce the exclusive? Within the last 6 months, I've been burned twice because they found a for sale by owner that they loved. And
Did
the
they
for
call
sale
you?
by owner was like, I will not work with an agent.
So they did
they
give you a chance for you to call
Love this
first.
house. No,
They didn't give you a chance to call.
no.
So in that case,
And
again,
one of
that's,
them, I had their house listed. So it
that's-
wasn't like we didn't have a.
that's where
relationship.
upfront you go into real detail how you get paid. I mean, it's how you feed your
The
table.
second one
You're
that
not part
just
time,
happened,
full
did.
time.
They knew everything.
Okay, so in that case, you know, and they're both.
So I'm
FISBOs.
in my position, I'm thinking, I'm gonna go ahead and just start using it.
Yeah.
I'm
Which
not,
that's it's.
But I guess, how do you
I'm not
approach
saying,
that?
I'm not saying you're not doing this, but one of the ways that I have fixed that, in my opinion, is, again, I say this over and over again, but building value.
Right.
When I show a house, I am this explosion of information, right? I'm talking to them about all sorts of different things, and if it's specific to quality of construction or something like that, I remind them I'm not an expert in, you know,
That's a key, very good
foundations or
point.
something like that. But when you're walking through the house and you're telling somebody, hey, this is clay tile or concrete block or something like that, giving them all this information. Hey, look, this is an I-joist floor system. The reason that they switched to I-joist floor systems is because when wood dries, it shrinks, and so when you use I can't remember the dimensions now, 2x12. They all shrink to different levels when humidity changes in the house. That's why the floor squeaks when you walk across it. This I-joist floor system shouldn't do that. That's actually absolutely fantastic. These are PEX water lines, and this actually goes into a manifold, and the positive there is every different faucet in the house has its own separate hot water line. You know, all this information that they don't know, when they go to look at that for sale by owner, they're standing in the dark. They have no clue.
I couldn't endorse this anymore. I mean, I have clients that won't even get their furnace service without calling me first. I mean, that's how big an advocate you can be to the process, is that, you know, they won't do a real estate deal without you, because you're more than just opening up doors.
So
You're providing them information, you're making them have the best educated decision they can make.
So, and the reality is, you could do that, and you could do what you say.
Right.
You're still gonna have some that do that, some that still think that they know more.
Because
and
I
they're
think what
still
they
gonna go
think
to
is like,
FISBOs.
if they called me, they might not get the house.
Mhm.
I think is,
Now, at the end of the day,
so,
this, you know, it is what's best for the client. So yeah, it would
Right.
suck that you're not getting paid, but you know how you spend this to kind of benefit you a little bit when that does happen? Be kind about it, and be like, you know what, that's great, congratulations. Could you still give me a review? Let's get a review out of it.
and how would
send
you,
them-
so
send
if I
them-
wanted to use exclusive, like, how would you introduce that? Do you
You're, in most
show
of
them a house like you said and show that value and then introduce it?
Well,
Or
at the
does
time
that
of the listing, if
conversation
that's the
happen?
business you're gonna go over, you might as well get it out of the way at the time you've been listing.
yeah, do this part
And
of the
say part of this transaction is me representing on the buyer side. This is, we went over the listing paperwork. This is the equivalent of the listing contract for us as a buyer and agent
What
relationship.
if it's just a
If it's just a buyer, go through a lot of the other stuff first, and then kind of go over roles maybe towards the end. Don't introduce it right away. Usually what happens is if you you go through the getting approved and all that stuff, but then you introduce it, they do get kind of defensive. This, again, is just my opinions. And then maybe you do show them one house and then go over it again and say, you know, at this time, like Matt said, you know, we want it to be win-win. I'm loyal to you, you're loyal to me.
That's what, I mean, that's
What you
why I said, first of all, don't quote out the first house when
Yeah.
you're out there.
Right.
You don't know them yet. They're not gonna sign anything. Once you build rapport with them and you're ready, you've already shown them 3 or 4 homes and now you want to take it to the next level, you can sit down with them and say, listen, I only have time and knowledge. That's what I'm giving. I only have so much of it to give at time. I want to, how do you want to say this? I want to commit to you the time that you need, but I need a commitment back from you. That, you know, and you pitch it that way, and that's what this does. It binds us into this agreement for 90 days, that when you buy a home in this 90 days, I'm going to represent you on the buying side. But I want to make this clear to all the agents that should that buyer go and buy a sell by owner or buy a listing and another agent's involved, we cannot go after the listing. The agreement between you and the buyer.
Right.
It's not between the other agent. Don't call the agent and tell me, hey, you owe me 3% of that commission, or they don't owe you anything. It's the buyer and the brokerage that has the agreement, okay?
Just, and sorry to drag this out, but to touch back on that FSBO stuff. One of the conversations that I often have with a lot of my clients is that I tell them, listen, I am here to help you get the best home that you can get, to get the home that you want. 99% of for sale by owners will and are already willing to work with a realtor. So if you, for some reason, see a for sale by owner and you want information on it, call me first. And no matter what, I'm not going to stand in the way of you getting that house. I'm going to put you in the best position.
And here's, to add to that, what you could follow up with is if they don't, you have to ask yourself why. Why will they not? When most people will work with an agent, why will they not?
Yeah.
And
And
what, you know, are they?
Well, and see, there was
That's-
like, there was an connection listing.
Those are
But
hard
they-
in general.
Yeah, those
Well,
are
they didn't even want to
Impossible
go look
almost.
at it because they couldn't take me with them. So
That's
the reason that they
fantastic.
ended up doing the FISBO, like, blows my mind.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
the reason why
Like, we
probably
had all
is
those
because they didn't
conversations.
give you a chance to contact yourself out first.
Right.
And I think what he's getting to is, first of all, what he said is
Let
tremendous.
them know you'll call on their behalf.
You've got to set the expectations. You know, we learned something, I learned in some class the other day, the word they were using was issue avoidance. And this is an issue avoidance thing. If you talk about this with them up front, they'll know. They'll know to call you. And then I don't have like he said, 99.9 of them are already they're ready to work with an agent. So how I pitch it to the sell by owner is, hey, I'm Matt Morrow, broker with RE/MAX. I have a client I think would be interested in your home. Are you willing to work with the buyer's agent at 3.5%, whatever your cost is? I could possibly show and sell your home this afternoon. I get it like, oh wow, he's confident. He can sell my house.
I literally only walked into one FISBO that I couldn't get to let me show the house. And the funny part is, you know that story. It was a realtor that owned the house.
Oh, yeah, that was just recently. To that, one other thing I do, and this is totally different than others, I don't ever talk about the percentage up front. Because they're like, only paying 1%, you know what, I'm not even gonna discuss that unless you know, my customer, I don't even like it. So, leaving with that, you two had questions, so Cameron?
We kind of talked about it because I was just curious about that exclusive agency and how it applied to for sale by owners. I mean, I've lost two.
Here's the thing.
year or two.
Majority of people will sign it because people want good service.
Right.
And they want to be represented. You are always gonna run into those people who think, like I said, who know everything, they will not sign it. If you represent attorneys will not sign it.
Have the for sale by owner conversation
Yes.
up front when the rapport is good. Okay?
And I in most cases, I will suggest calling up, say, you know what, I respect that you went there, without me, but what could I have done different to earn your business and not have that happen? A lot of times I'll say, you know what, nothing. One kid, this guy was messed up because he worked at Core Logic, real estate is his business. Ran us around all weekend and come back, he's like, you know what, I'm not gonna sign anything because I wanted to have my best option for negotiation. And what he did is beat up the other agents so bad that they literally made like 1%.
And if they do buy without you, the for sale by owner, something like that, right? Remember that one of those first slides, don't take them out of the process. Move them to a different part of the process. They've closed now. Send them a closing gift. Send them birthday cards. You know, your relationship with them, you shouldn't do it for free, right? But your relationship with them was not dependent on you getting a paycheck, you know? Continue.
Okay, so my question should hopefully be quick. Appointed agency, you always have to sign it with an offer, but can you do the exclusive, like instead of having them sign the appointed agency form? Because these buyers that I've had for like months, that we're just waiting for like that magic unicorn to come around. If I just have them do exclusive agent at the beginning, I can just reuse it over and over, right? Okay.
As long as it hasn't expired.
And I don't know of any broker, maybe Shane does, of any broker that has taken that exclusive buyer broker treatment to court and pushed it through. I think people are still kind of waiting to see if it gets held up
The
in court.
exclusive?
Yeah.
We actually had a situation a year and a half ago within ours where the two agents actually tried to take it to court. Obviously one lost, one won. Can't disclose what happened, but beyond that, I know others have threatened, but I don't know what the other brokers. I know that when we've been involved with it, unless your documentation and stuff and processes are in place, it's still hard to get, but it still sets it up that you shouldn't have to worry about it. It's not very common that it happens. Post-conversation activities, between meetings, this is where you're doing a lot of your paperwork, and you're prepping, your research, just making sure you know what you're talking about. Don't ever, if you get asked a question you don't know, don't ever wing it. Don't ever pretend you know something you don't. Just be honest, say, I'm not sure about that, but I'll get you the answer. Here's you another touch point.
You've heard me say a million times with buyers, probably sellers too, the two things you're looking for is trust and confidence, okay? They have to trust you and they have to have confidence that you're going to get them from A to Z. If you BS your way through an issue, you just lost both.
Yep. So showing tours in the car. I'm a firm believer, and again, this is where some of us are different. I believe that if you've got that report, they should be in the car with you so you're learning more about them. I've taken kids in my car and had like, what's that little, the kids movie where the Lorax playing in the background when the kids are watching cartoons, learning more about the parents, learning about the kids. And with that, being if they're out of town, you know what? Go through Matrix, set your map up, know that you're gonna stop from 11:30 to noon for lunch. And again, if you're showing their kids that they're important, that's valuable.
And take them somewhere cool.
Yeah.
Like, like Woody's over on, that's kind of a cool little niche, and try to expose
If
them
it
to
fits in
places.
your map.
If it fits in your map. Try to expose them to places that are kind of like hidden gems in town, or, that's.
This is a service industry, right? It used to be that I'd tell somebody, hey, my dad's a realtor, and their eyes would get big, right? Wow, that guy's important. He sells houses, right? Now you say, hey, my dad's a realtor, and somebody goes, yeah, so is my aunt and my sister, Everybody does it. Set yourself apart from those other people, right? This isn't follow me to this next house. Get them in your car, have a good time with them, talk to them. And with the way technology's going, you'll never see me walk through a house and blatantly say something that, it's, I always point to something and I'll say, remember this, because we'll talk about
this. This is a very good point.
Then we get in the car. We talk about it in the car where I know I'm not being recorded.
This is another thing that sets your expectations up front. Tell them to wait till they get outside to comment on things, because what he's referring to is cameras and microphones. Sellers are watching you and listening. So again, we talked about this a while back, and this is a different class, so I'm gonna go over it again. I don't think it's been settled yet, but there is currently a case going on right now to where an agent showed a house and was gonna leave a card. She didn't have a card, so she actually, went through a drawer, found some paper, got a pen. Doing what she thought was the right thing. Little mini chocolates. She took one, she ate it on camera. She's now being prosecuted for theft. And again, it hasn't been settled yet, but this agent's been in the business for over 30 years. So people are watching, so be careful.
So those little chocolates they put out aren't for everybody?
Not in the drawer, they're on the counter. But, so yeah, just don't.
I've made a sandwich
All right, hold on.
If you can hear us,
Got Matt, yeah. Just so you knocked over the camera.
Sorry.
You got excited.
Matt apologized.
Someone said chocolate, sorry. I did myself.
Good recovery.
All right, so it's never acceptable to leave clients' money on the table.
HBO.
Always make sure you're doing what's best for the client and not for, again, it's not about the money. Money will be there if you're doing the right thing. So, and when you're negotiating, remember that. How to handle lowball offers. Take on that is, education. So, Mr. Buyer, I work for you. I will do what you want. Just be prepared for this to happen. And just lay it out. They might reject it. They might counter back full price. New construction. How many people got for those who do new construction, have got like $20,000 less on their offer, plus $10,000 in refrigerator allowances and all that stuff. I'm sure I'll write it, but set the expectations. That's the easiest way to handle it.
And that's another expectation that you don't set all at once when they're writing the offer. Right. You start setting that from the first time you meet them over a long period.
So you'll get, if you're out showing new houses, and even if if you're not representing builders, you're showing new construction, they'll be like, how much wiggle room does this builder have? Explain to them how builders get paid, how most builders only have 10% margins. That's how they pay their families. They don't work off huge numbers. So they're not gonna budge a lot. Yeah, they may give a little bit. And so if they do offer, and they do come back and say they accept that $5,000 concession, you know what? That's awesome. We did great. I've never seen a builder do that.
Yeah. And you got to understand, and I always explain to clients, when it comes to new construction, now a lot of builders build the same floor plan, and they're not going to give that, because that'll be recorded, and that'll affect the appraised values going forward. Yep. It's not just giving you $5,000; it's giving $5,000 off this floor plan of 20 homes.
So here's actually a trick. So does everyone understand what Matt's talking about here? So say the house is $250, but they want $5,000 in concessions. They're not going to come down to $245. They might do $250 with a landscape allowance, or $250 for appliances. That way, online it says $250. Developers are the same way. They're not going to sell you a lot that's $75,000 for $65, because everyone else is going to come in and be like, you know what, I can get $10,000 less.
Plus, most of the time you still get paid on that landscaping allowance.
Yeah, that too. So, Other resources, always do thank you note. Today's technology, quick text, with Facebook, always ask, this is a key thing too, ask up front, how do you like to communicate? Is it text, is it email, is it a phone call? Because there'll be times where you think that because things are so fast, it's better to email and to text. You might have a client that, there was a situation where everything went perfect. The client was like old school, hardcore military. He wanted that phone call. And that was actually, what ended up being a 5-star review, but it was a 4-star because he wanted that phone call. So ask that up front. And then having complete buyer file so you have everything in step. So next steps to this is in Kickstart, in a few weeks, they're going to go over, presentation resources. For those who haven't been to Kickstart, it's awesome. In my opinion, it's the best training that we've ever had because it's actually sitting down and doing it.
My opinion was this was the best training ever.
Well, no, because you're here, but
Okay.
past this, that is the best training that we've ever had. So, and don't forget to SPAR. So SPAR, study, practice, action, reinforce. Again, what we're talking about, what we're doing, it is not rocket science. You just have to do it and do it regularly.
And then can I offer one more thing? If a lot of you don't feel like you know older houses or just houses in general, we do have in new construction, we have a whole resource from Adam to and Shane, guys that build houses, how we build houses. Be happy to go through that so you know more about new construction. But I find a lot of value in knowing older houses. Like Adam said, knowing concrete block from tile to brick and knowing 80% efficiency purchases from 92 plus.
Know what asbestos siding looks like.
Yeah.
That'll blow their mind.
Yeah, or just looking for rotten trim and how the life of shingles and, the evolution of plumbing lines, electrical lines. If that's something you guys ever want to do, we'll just go to like 5 homes like you were a buyer of mine. And I would show you.
Well, and we can actually take a poll. So we did it a few years ago to where he actually, what he's referring to, it was actually a training one day where they started in houses and went to different houses, and Matt was able to point out, in these older houses, these things that you're referring to. So beyond that, one of the great things about Concepts is all agents are open to any questions on how they do things. So to knowing what Matt said, so he did a blog probably 8 months ago talking about, a few years ago, how Mid-America was doing all these rebates for, blowing insulation in the attic, extra windows, things like that. That was great. But what they didn't realize is they weren't damming the wall right, and the insulation was blowing out into the soffits and clogging the vents. You start to grow mold in your attic. These are
It's got to breathe, right?
right. These are things that they should know.
A home has got to breathe in general.
Right.
When you're doing your home inspections, ask questions to the home inspector.
Absolutely. If you haven't been in business for 10 years, you should almost be at that inspection every time to ask questions. Why did you flat? Why is that a double tap? Well, you see these 2 wires going in there. Not that these are just things you should know and will impress people. One thing I noticed that Adam and I do similar is when we were talking about adding value, and I said, people won't change their furnace filter without calling me, because when I walk through homes with them, I tell them everything I know about a house, and they overwhelm me, become impressed, but they have confidence, they trust me, and they don't want to make a move unless I've seen it and given them my opinion. And it sounds like that's the same thing that's going on with you. You go down there and you're telling them everything, and now you give them all this information. Now they're like, Adam's our guy, and I don't want to make a decision unless Adam gives me his 2 cents on everything. So again, let's just go out and we'll go through 4 or 5 homes. We'll go through older houses and start in the early 1900s and work our way through the 80s, and then. But once you hit 1990, other than PECs, things are pretty similar.
Once you hit 1990, don't go to Mac on that.
Yeah.
So, any questions? Anything we discussed, talked about? Comments, concerns? No. Okay. So, real quick side note. Oh, someone had a question.
Adam's got this sheet here to sell a timeline.
Yep.
Is there any possibility of using a one of these that would be
Editable?
edible?
Absolutely. At least you have your cards on you.
Well, what we could do is just send it to Marinella,
I think
and we can.
Becca might have already sent it, but I'll double check.
Yeah,
I
we'll
have
make
your
sure
guys'
everyone has
names
it.
so we can.
We'll make sure you get it.
You
So-
can forward it with the rest of the packet, can't you?
She already, I think, sent the packet in.
It was in.
I'll double
Check,
check.
hey, check closely for misspellings on that, because I personally
Yeah.
typed that up.
Well, if she didn't, we'll get it.
Yeah, quick side note, we're thankful we have lunch here.
Oh, yeah. the-
So even if it's not your birthday, since you're here, you can guys just stay for lunch. I'm sure there's plenty.
Yeah.
We always, quarterly birthdays.
Quarterly birthday.
Quarterly birthday.
You cannot have lunch. Your birthday was a different